had a number of conversations about her work, and I found that each time that we talked about it, I got into it in more depth, which I found very good, because I feel that there is a lot going on in what she's painting, and I wanted to understand it. And also, she's a young artist who's just at the beginning of her career, and yes, you are, Meredith. And I wanted to be able to do something for her to make her more visible to more people. And so I thought this, and her work. And so I thought this was perhaps a good avenue to do this. So let's find out more about you, that they don't.
So there are these hands, right? There are 4 fingers, right? Hands can be like a really amazing and healing and like a sign of offering, or it can be like a bit more sinister and violent, and like then there's that gray area between that ambiguity between those two things. And so like one of the aspects that I'm interested in is like childhood and this idea of like, so if you look at the yellow blob, that was inspired by like Play-Doh, like being a kid and sticking your finger in Play-Doh, right? But that's playful, but like in other ways or in other contexts, that's like an act of violence or aggression.
The fingers look like they could be cut off.
That's a good point. So like they are short, like there are only 4 of them, and I only gave them 4 fingers to kind of, you know, in my mind, kind of make them less dangerous. And so like this idea of like bodily embarrassment, of like pinching and pulling, and like learning as a kid, and then like as, you know, a young adult, like all of these things, how things can be playful and then also turn into something like not so playful and, you know, kind of crossing a line, right? And so that's kind of what I'm interested in, this like idea of bodily embarrassment. Like this could be a nipple, a pimple, you know, anything really. And so, and then this also kind of is like this idea of, you know, like this blow up pools, right? Like super rudimentary kind of like structure of it. But yeah. Body, is it connected to, you know, this bust or butt? You know, like we don't know. It could be a butt with chicken pox, or like acne, or it could be breasts. I was thinking of like, is it connected to itself, or is it like are these 2 separate entities where like the hands are picking and prodding, like, and touching, you know, this other body. And then if you see like they're like kind of wiped out red dots, like smeared red kind of marks, those, it's like, was that hand and were those hands infecting this body? Or is it like a hole, or is like this body infecting this hand? And the holes they start out as shadows, but really they're just like a dumb sexual innuendo. Like, and then on top of it, like create like a joke with painting, you know, like, oh, I'm creating space in this, you know, white canvas. Look what I can do. So like those are kind of like, they're, you know, there's an aspect of like dumbness in some way to them. Because like I think of these hands or these scenes as like clumsy, right? And like when one's clumsy, it's for the most part like innocent, right? Because like someone doesn't mean to be clumsy, but like when you're clumsy, it can actually, you know, you're not thinking, and that can turn into something else, I guess. I wanted like that hand to like, even though it doesn't look like it's in pain, I wanted it to be in pain. Like I thought of them as like, sorry to be crude, but like I thought of them as tits. Like I thought of them to like be this thing, and I was like, this hand needs to suffer like in some way, so it needs to be somewhat like more realistic, even though the hand isn't like, it's not necessarily like on it or like being like affected by it. It's still there. So, you know, it's really not that bothered. But yeah.